guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and like. Here's your video. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So sorry I haven't been filming. As you may know from Creative Studios, I now have a guinea pig. So she's a bit of a handful. Her name's Willow. And yeah, so I'm just going to get right into the read aloud. It's a pretty long one today, so let's go. Wait. I forgot to say that me and Bro have partnered together to create a new YouTube channel called Creative Cooking, where we give you the best recipes ever. You can learn more in the link down below, and yeah. And the description is like what you like my description of my video. So if you have to be on like a computer or iPhone and you just scroll down, you should see the description. So you hit that link and it will take you to my other channel. Let's go. Chase and Rush. A few more memories have come back. Mostly it's just images and impressions, but there's one that's pretty concerning. My mother has been showing me a lot of old pictures in the hope that something might ring a bell. One old picture, one snapshot of the ivy-covered building looks kind of familiar. The student union, it looks familiar. The student union at Johnny's University, Mom explains. It triggers a flashback. It's not that I remember. It's more like it's already in my head, and I'm just noticing it now. Mom and seventh grader Chase and seventh grade Chase are dropping Johnny off at college. Our car pulls around the circular drive in front of the building. In the photograph, Johnny gets out. It's his first day of freshman year, his first time living away from home. He seems terrified. And what do I feel? Sympathy for my poor, scared brother. Or for Mom, who's on the verge of tears. For myself, even. I'm losing my brother to a new life in a faraway place. I don't feel any of those things. Instead, I'm thinking, what a wuss this kid is. I can't believe I looked up to him. What a wimp. What a baby. My scorn is so sharp that it jolts me back here. And now, how could I make such a harsh judgment about my brother? When I was in the hospital, Johnny was there at my bedside every minute. Mom was just as worried about me, just as torn up by the accident. I guess it wasn't payback for the brotherly love he's shown over the years. People say I've changed. I'm barely beginning to understand how much. Dr. Cooperson isn't sure that my memory is returning. My brain is totally fine, he says at the next appointment. After all, I remember everything that happened since coming out of the coma. Not that it would be easy to forget, like Shoshana dumping frozen yogurt on my head, or Brendan going through the car wash on a tricycle, or how it felt to push Joey against the wall. A blur of violence, anger, and lightning. Fast action. And something else, too. I may not be proud of it, but it's the truth. Satisfaction. I didn't like the situation was going, and I changed it with my own physical power. Aaron's words come back to me. You didn't have to attack him. And Shoshana's goon. That haunts me a little. I don't regret stopping Joey from bullying Brendan, but was fighting really the only way to make it stop? Worse, I hadn't even considered trying to talk to Joey. I just grabbed the kid and pushed him against the wall. And he saved Brendan, I guess. I get that old Chase, but the new Chase, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if the person is still beside me from before the accident, emerging from the darkness, but bit by bit, along with my memory. As weird as it was to pass my to lose my past, it might be even weirder that the most that comes back, the less I recognize myself. Dr. Cooperson also pronounces me fully recovered physically. Then he drops the bomb. He still wants me to off the football for the rest of the season. I must be pretty diverted because he adds, it's all after ambulance come in and you're fine. But conversion can't be taken lightly. You know that. I know you're disappointed, honey, my mom adds. I understand how important football is to you. How can I explain to them? Sure, I'd love to play, but what really bugs me is that football is my biggest contraction to my old life. I don't think I've had a single conversation with Dad. That wasn't even about the past gathering glories or ones he expects me to have. And since the accident with Joey, the only hurricane who will take me to are Aaron and Bear. Even with them, half of the time, I get the impression that their main interest is getting their team captain back. For sure, those guys are never going to forgive me for A, doing my community service when I don't have to, and B, not hating it enough. To be honest, I don't hate it at all. One thing no one ever tells you when you're laid up, like I was in the hospital, is how boring it is. You really appreciate anybody who comes to break the monotony. So I get to be that person for the residents at Portland Street. It makes me feel good about myself. And that's a huge at the time. I'm learning how I have so much to feel bad about. Besides, I get stuff out of it too. I'm learning how to play mahjong. I've picked up a lot of great tips on how to grow stuff, mostly from Miss Kittninger, whose room looks like a betrayed garden. I think I'm going to be able to save a lot of Mom's plants. And maybe the fungus in Helen's room, the one she brought home from the preschool's flower sale. And it's at least 98% dead. And that would make points with Corny, who is losing her admits for the fallen leaves and the tiny white bugs that are all over them. As for Mr. Stowaway, despite the fact I've forgotten most of what's happened to me, I feel confident that that he's the coolest person I've ever met. Anyone who could jump onto a moving enemy tank, throw away the hatch, and take out it with the gender, pretty amazing guy. Mr. Stowaway doesn't see it that way. That's what I did, not who I am. If I bothered to think about it, it wouldn't be done. I'm not that stupid. The sad part is that Mr. Stowaway can't find his Medal of Honor. Nurse Duncan thinks it's probably got misplaced during Portland Street's big painting project, and it will turn up sooner or later, but he's convinced he flat out lost it. I haven't been as sharp since my wife died, he tells me. I never had kids, so we're the whole world to each other. She looked after everything, and I looked after her, he says. You can see which one of us did a better job. When she was gone, that's when my life pretty much ended. I swept out of his arm and took it into the room. It is marking time. I hate when he talks like that. Come on, Mr. Stowaway. You've got a good life here. Plenty of friends. He glares at me. Have you asked about me around this place? Old ladies on crutches do the 100-yard dash when they see me coming. I've got my own personal table for one in the dining room. The nurse all call me Mr. Happy Face, but they don't think because they assume I'm just as deaf as everybody else in this funny farm. I'm getting the sense that before my accident, I was kind of the Mr. Happy Face at my school. I conflicted him. I could have told you that, he replies. When you first showed up here, you were just like those two good-for-nothings. Maybe the worst of three. Sometimes I whack on your head exactly what a fellow needs. That's pretty harsh to say to somebody with amnesia, but that's just the way Mr. Solway is. He isn't being mean. He doesn't feel like he has to pull any punishes. I respect that more than anybody. That whack on the head cost me 13 and a half years of my life, I remind him. Remembering is overrated, she assures me. Do you remember 1 second of it? The only reason I know what happened is because of my report my captain filled out with headquarters. I guess the older you get, it's hard to change on what keeps the details, I offer. He shakes his head. It isn't old age. He looked up and into a T-34 tank of genders gone off the inside. Not a pretty sight. Anyway, you blocked out what you could with that camp face. They were the enemy, I said gently. They was on a war. They always the enemy. Sorry, guys, I just am like reading it so fast. Okay, there were the enemy, I said gently. There was a war on. There's always an enemy, and when they're shooting at you, kid. But a dead man doesn't care what uniform he's wearing. I'm better off forgetting the whole rotten business, medal and all. That's another thing I have in common with Mr. Solway. We're memory loss buddies. I wonder if I could block out what a jerk I used to be, because I can't face it. I don't think it's the same thing, though. Besides, I lost my past and started to come back. I wonder exactly call it Tombstone of Recordsland. More like that the water. Turner, with blindfolded pardon, feels like a drip over my head, just as often enough to drive him crazy. I can't be really sure of memories, blowing out candles and all. Being crushed under a dog pile of football players, a flashback to one of my sport trophies. Who can tell? My mind plays tricks on me. Last night, I had a dream about cherry bombs going off on a piano, and some poor kid half to death and woke up in a cold sweat. But when I checked on the school yearbook for a picture of Joel Weber, he wasn't the guy in my dream. There was no memory, just a proud of guilty conscience. My theory is that my brain invents fake memories of things I've heard about because I'm trying so hard to remember stuff. I even had a nightmare about the Korean War. And for sure, I was never there. I actually saw myself in a uniform, climbing up on the side of never there. I actually saw myself in a uniform up the side of the tank like Mr. Solway did. The yank opened the hatch, pulled up the gender. It was pretty cool, though, but it went off on my hand. Believe it or not, the impression from before my accident, and seems like the most vivid, is that little girl. Sometimes so much of that I feel like I should be able to reach out and touch the white laces on her blue dress. She must be important, though. She is the one image that was still there with me when I woke up at the hospital. I wonder who she is. School triggers a few memories, too. But the most random images is the feeling of Vijaya Zoo. There's nothing solid enough to be useful. I still don't really know the faculty, the kids, or the consumers. It's just like learning my way around a building. I've been acting since the 6th grade. I obviously don't remember what a lousy student I was because my teachers are also impressed with how well I'm doing. Some of them just seem like they're ready to faint when I actually hand in a homework assignment. Video club is one of the places brand new to me, and it actually is. We've collected a ton of footage for the yearbook. Miss Jalilio wants me to work on interviewing skills because my subjects seem so ill as it is. Yeah, no kidding. They're all waiting for me to pull my underwear up over their heads and stuff them into the nearest locker. At least the video club's getting used to having me around, except Shoshana, who hates me for good and always. I can't blame her, even though I have no memory of what Aaron and Bear and I did to her brother. It's pretty strange to despite something if you've never, ever remember it happening. She stopped frightening me with the directly. She doesn't know a camera from a cupcake. For her interview with a little cheerleader, she left the lens on the camera, so there was only audio and no video. On her second try, she zoomed in so close that all you could see was a mouth talking. I think Brendan has a crush on Kimmy because she won't hear anything bad about her. Shooting a mouth but won't hear but no face is infectioning. Lens caps are too knowledgeable for a digit age. Whatever. Brendan's true love, though, is YouTube. This afternoon, hey guys, YouTube. That's what I'm doing right now, filming a YouTube video. This afternoon, he shows us the latest clip of his goldfish bravely swimming against the bathtub drain. Brendan pauses the video to straddle and pause. I call it Prakazabala, he announces gradually. Shoshana doesn't approve. Neither do I. You're wasting your time with that stuff. You should be helping me with the entry for the national video contest. He brushes her off. This is the kind of interactive I'm trying to get. This depends on the citizen reminding the good old days. This depends what we pick up. Seniors have lived along amazing things. Before I realize what I'm talking about, I blurt, "You should talk about Mr. Solway at Portland Street." Her angry eyes stare me. I'm kind of committed to her praises project with the sound of my voice. Another of my crimes against humanity, like bullying her brother and not dying when I fell off the roof. Who's Mr. Solway? Kimmy asks. A hero from the Korean War. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest award any soldier can get. And how would you know that? It's obvious she doesn't believe a word out of my mouth. I work there. Aaron and Bear and me. It's our community service for. My voice trails off. She, of all people, knows exactly what my community service is for. He sounds pretty perfect. Brendan agrees. Maybe I can get him to ride a tricycle through a car wash, Shoshana says rudely. At least talk to the guy, Hiro prouds. Shoshana, wait, hold on, I skipped a line. I know you'll find a way to make the school proud, she says to Shoshana. Miss Jalilio says to Shoshana. And thank you, Chase, for the marvelous suggestion. Shoshana's cheeks darken through pink to red and then full crimson. I hope I never hate anybody as much as that girl hates me. That's the end of your wonderfully and long chapter. Check out that link below, and bye, guys.